Caught between a rock and a hard place, part-time hotel workers say they feel forgotten. Those who contacted GBC point out that hotels have not been directed to close during this lockdown and have therefore had to remain open despite little or no work for staff. Due to the lack of visitors to the Rock, hotel occupancy is now down to single figures, and on one day recently there were no guests at all in one of the hotels, according to one worker. They say there simply isn't enough work for them, and although their contracts are for just a few hours, in some cases 0-hour contracts, they say they have always been able to work enough hours to make ends meet. Now they're being paid as little as £200 a month, barely enough, they say, to feed their families.
It is a very difficult situation. The industry has, as percentage, it's not a great percentage, but there is a percentage of employees that they have casual contracts or 0 hours contracts, and those are the ones that they are affected adversely at the moment. Business level as such, where obviously there is no need for them to work. They were used to work a certain number of hours every week as a matter of standard routine, and that is not happening. The previous BEAT scheme and the previous support the Gibraltar government has offered back in March, April and May was taken into consideration, those contracts, because they were paid on the base of an average hours work for the previous 3 months. The BEAT 5.0 scheme fell short of that. And that is a very difficult situation, because unfortunately it's a very individual, depends from hotel to hotels. There is not a common pattern. In our case, we have taken a view for the Calais Hotel and the Holiday Inn Express, obviously, on looking after these employees that they are affected adversely by that. Other hotels may have taken a completely different view. The reality is that the possibility of putting these employees on an inactive list like was back in April and May would probably be a fairer position for them.
A spokesperson for the group said if hotels had been able to close, like restaurants, cafes and bars, they would have benefited from 100% of the government's BEAT 5.0 measures, instead of 40% under the current scheme, which the workers say is being used to pay those with fixed contracted hours. As it stands, the spokesperson said part-time workers on 8, 4 or 0 hours have been unable to work extra to bulk up their salaries, as has been their usual practice. He also said they can't claim Spanish unemployment benefits as their employers won't terminate their contracts due to the limit on terminations, which, if exceeded, will see their 40% government BEAT grant converted into a loan. But according to the Hoteliers Association, terminations would also give rise to other issues.
Termination is also an option, of course, as a financial cost, because in order to terminate an employee, you have to make it redundant, which means obviously the business will have to pay all the redundancy payment, etc. So that has a financial impact. But the other problem is that as an industry, we do not want to lose our employees, because we know that hopefully in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks' time, we're going to need them again. Making them redundant could give them the opportunity for them, perhaps especially Spanish national, to have access to support all the paro on the other side of the frontier, and that may be an option for them, but it's not particularly good for the industry, because, as I said, eventually we will need these employees back, and once they qualified for that paro, they'll be able to take, I don't know, 75-80% of the last salary for a period of time. It will be very difficult to get that particular person back into employment.
What are you hoping to hear back from the government on this?
We know the government is aware. As an industry, we have made a representation. We were asked just before the lockdown to give the government an indication as an industry of what our immediate needs could have been. We have made our representation, and we know government is reviewing it on the weekly basis. The industry has not received any different condition than BEAT 5.0. But we've been told that the situation is reviewed on the weekly basis, so the government is very much aware of what is the situation, especially with our workforce and employees.
The workers say they feel they're trapped in an impossible situation, unable to rely on the hotel for extra work, nor the Spanish or Gibraltar governments for adequate financial support. Who will help them, they ask, and question what are their rights as regular taxpayers. On the issue of public health, they also ask whether it's appropriate to keep more workers than is necessary crossing the frontier without any real need. More importantly, the group's spokesperson calls for effective action to allow them and their families to survive with dignity.